So, for a little bit now, I've been talking about how I'm going to share my story about the abuse I suffered when I was in the program and in Jamaica while I was younger. Um, it's caused all these medical issues, my injuries to my jaw, a lot happened. I wrote a story about it quite some time ago, for number one, so I wouldn't forget, and number two, um, it's a pretty damn interesting story, and a lot of people are interested in hearing it and reading it, and I'm finally ready to share it. I was going to do it in several parts, but after doing part one, I realized I should just read it together. Just do the whole story, put it out there. The reason it's in a story form is it has been a while, and I wanted it to flow nicely as I'm describing what's going on. But you might see me kind of looking off because I'm reading it. I'm only reading it to make it easier. But we're going to get started on that. Excuse me if you see this. I just had surgery, so that's kind of what had me a little delayed. Nothing bad. I have a lot of health issues, so I need a chest port, and that's what it is. No biggie in comparison. So, anyways, each day is a battle for me. Not just mentally, but physically too. But keeps me strong. So I'm going to start reading, and you guys can finally know everything that happened and how it went down. Let's go. I was hanging out over my neighbor's house with some friends the day before Christmas Eve, and my mom asked me to come home for a few minutes. Something felt strange, but I told my friends I would be right back. When I got home, I jokingly asked my mother if she was sending me to rehab, to which I got no response. She went upstairs as I sat in the living room. While I was waiting downstairs for God knows what, 3 people entered my home, a woman and 2 large men. They proceeded to tell me I was going to go to a new school in Jamaica, and I had to go now. I thought it was a joke. No way would my mother ever send me away. She wouldn't do that. Nope, 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 nope. I refused to believe it, but they quickly told me I could either go with them calmly or they would carry me out. That ended up in them shoving me barefoot in the back of a car with no door handles or locks, and took off before I even had a chance to say goodbye to my mother. I arrived at a random house in Miami where I saw 2 other girls that had just been kidnapped as well. They changed us together, and the night time they changed us to a chair so we couldn't escape. Because in the morning, they were putting us on a plane to Jamaica. No one knew what was going to happen or what was going on or what to expect. These kidnappers tried to make it seem like I was going to be in a fun place, like it was a vacation resort, and we would only be there for a month or 2. But little did we know just how much of a lie that was. Still to this day, I wonder, what if I screamed for help? What if I tried to run? What if I grabbed a knife from the kitchen? It was so in the moment. I know there wasn't really anything I can do, but that's always crossed my mind a bit, like, why didn't I yell? But they were so good at manipulating us. They made us comfortable. They made it seem like we were going to a vacation resort and we're only going to be there for a few days. They got us relaxed enough to trust them, not knowing what was about to really go down. So after a nice plane ride, the day after being chained to a chair in Miami, we arrived in Jamaica the next day. We're still having a chance to speak to our parents. They wouldn't let us talk to anybody, not them, nothing. And as we took a 3-hour ride to destination unknown, the kidnappers continued making this place seem like a vacation resort, and we all relaxed a bit. By the time night hit, we were pulling up to a place in the middle of nowhere with high cement walls and security at the only entrance and exit of the place. We entered the room with the kidnappers left us, and the Jamaican staff started to take over. They proceeded to do a full body search, making me remove every piercing and making sure I wasn't hiding anything anywhere, and I mean anywhere. They then shoved me into a worm-infested cold shower and handed me a uniform that I was required to wear. I was escorted upstairs on the roof, where they had classrooms full of girls in uniform, silent, all with blank expressions. I broke down crying, only to quickly learn the staff did not like to hear you cry. They really did not like to hear you cry. I have quite a few friends I've stayed in touch with, and they really didn't like me, and that isn't an exaggeration. Like, if I cried and I upset them, they hurt me, not mentally, but physically. They hurt me bad. Anyways, continuing, they made us follow these ridiculous rules. The program was based off of points and levels. If you get more consequences, you receive more points. You lost the points if you break a consequence, and the greater the punishment would be. I was not allowed to cross my ankles, crack my knuckles, speak to anybody, make eye contact, look out the window, have toilet paper. I could go on and on and on. But, oh, and if you spent 6 minutes in the allotted 5-minute shower window, then you'd have to write a 5,000-word essay on why you were 60 seconds late in the shower. This is the kind of consequences that they expected us to follow and actually get by. The ridiculous rules went on, but these consequences were no joke. Even if you did the simplest thing wrong, like I did in the 6 minutes in the worm-infested shower, or there's a girl, I brushed a bug off her shoulder. And even better, I used to get a consequence, and I would have to write 5,000 words on why my eyebrow goes up when I speak. It's a facial expression thing I have. It's always been that way. I talk, but they kept saying facial expressions one and giving me a consequence to the point I actually had to write a 5,000-word essay on why my eyebrow goes up, and I still do not know why it does that to this day. But yeah, it's not easy to write 5,000 words on all that. I'm sure you can imagine. But if you didn't, you had 3 hours to write this, and if you did not finish in those 3 hours, they would send you to a place called OP, which stood for observation placement. I soon learned just how bad OP was. We would hear screams in the middle of the night, but I did not know the horrified, painful screams were going to soon be mine, too. About a week into my stay, I had hit a point of serious depression. I was scared to death at this point and was willing to try anything to speak to my mother. One afternoon, I was so overwhelmed with misery, I just decided to make a run for it and try to jump off the second-story balcony. I figured if I got hurt bad enough, they would let me speak to my mom. And if I died, oh well, it wasn't the only way I was going to get out of there anyways. The staff got to me before I made it off the balcony and threw me on the floor, restraining me as hard as they could. This was one of the worst rules you could break. So they immediately threw me in observation placement, which was just a form of torture, pretty much. Any possible way they could break you down and treat you like an animal, they would. You were required to lay face down on the tiled floor with your arms by your side. This was a small little room, no ventilation, no AC. They filled us up in the room, laying in our faces. A bunch of misbehaved girls, they like to call us, lying up on the floor like sardines. The only time we were allowed to move was when we were given meals to eat with our hands, watched while using the bathroom, or forced to get up and do heavy exercise. They expected us to do ridiculous amounts like 300 push-ups, 1,500 jumping jacks, 200 sit-ups, and if you didn't do it properly, they would restrain you, which, when I say restrain, it's more like physically torturing you. There was just no winning. No matter what I did, there was no winning there. They would restrain you trying to get your elbows and your shoulder blades to touch, and if you cried, they'd do it harder, and if you didn't cry, they would do it harder to make you cry. You weren't supposed to be in observation placement for that long, according to them and according to what they told their parents, but I kept getting consequences no matter what I did, especially with this eyebrow, which kept me in OP longer. I was lying face down on tile floor with the arms by my side for 8 weeks. Despite all that, I just kept getting consequences no matter how hard I tried. I just kept me in OP longer, observation placement, 8 weeks straight at a time. I wasn't allowed to go to school. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I was forced to lay face down, and not do anything. I wasn't even allowed to fall asleep. I had to lay flat down on the floor, head by side, arms down, and if I fell asleep, I would get beaten for that, for everything, really. Crying, everything. Anything they can do to keep me in there longer. And the longer that you're in OP, the longer it's going to take you to graduate the program. And it's just a reminder of how stuck you really are. Like, I was not able to go. You had no rights. Our parents signed over our rights. They said it was like 49 to 51%, so the parents still had like 1% more, but they still signed over their rights to these people and paid them to do these things to us. And they weren't even allowed to talk to us. I was there for first program 13 months, and I didn't even get to say a word to my mother. And they told her what they wanted to tell her. They told her that I broke my own jaw or my chin. They denied everything. It was just them lying, and abusing kids to a horrible extent. And they made us do these brainwashing seminars, but they had the parents do them too. They had the parents convinced, well, if your child doesn't graduate this program, they're going to go back on the streets and do drugs and die. All in the meantime, parents are paying, like my mom, $90,000 for their kids to be tortured and learn nothing but have injuries. I need surgery for the rest of my life because of what happened to me there. What happened to me in observation placement should have never happened. You guys see a little teeny scar here? That's all it took to ruin my life. Without medical attention, things get a lot worse, and that's what happened to me. They didn't believe me. They said because my mouth was opening, I was absolutely fine and I was making it up. Meanwhile, everybody can hear my jaw pop from across the room. It was a horrible situation, and it wasn't made much better because, to top it off, my mom would take the letters that I would write her, bring them to a psychiatrist in Florida. He would write medication, not even seeing me. She would ship it to Jamaica, and they would give me these psychiatric medications without supervision to see how I'm doing, without giving it to me on time. They, like, seriously, every side effect I could have had, these drugs are off the market. But the psychiatrist was literally just giving my mom's pills to send to them to give to me, and I only got worse. It was just a horrible, horrible situation and environment all around. I was in observation placement a lot. As when I said I didn't get to do school, there was no time to do anything except for write 5,000 word essays on why I looked the wrong way or anything. I was so behind in school at that point because they weren't even letting me learn. I wasn't allowed to do anything except for lay face planted on the floor and tortured. But it was getting so bad that I was just having these horrible panic attacks. I was like melting down. I was locked in this little room. If I did the littlest thing wrong, I was going to get injured by them mentally and physically. I was totally lost. And during one of those times and during one of those restraints out of frustration, I hit my head on the floor. And it was so bad, it was so bad the whites of my eyes turned red. If you guys see the main picture I have up on this where there's a little tag that says breaking code silence over my face, that's my passport photo. That was taken several weeks after an injury in Jamaica. They never took me to a doctor. They never looked into my concussion. I have a dent, a little one still right here. I mean, the black eyes, purple eyeballs, and so dizzy. I had such a concussion. But nope, they didn't care. Didn't take me to the doctor. And this was before the jaw injury. So the abuse was ongoing. It was only a matter of time until the jaw injury occurred. These restraints that they did to us, that's what caused a lot of the injuries. They, like I said, did not like when I cried at all. One night, the night of the jaw, I was being restrained because I got a lot of consequences, was misbehaving. They restrained me and hurt me like usual. Excuse me. But after the painful restraint this time, I was still overrun with emotions. I was angry. I was sobbing in misery. I was confused. I was scared. But like I said, they didn't like when I cried. So they went to go restrain me for a second time. Only thing this time was I ran and I grabbed the corner of one of the bed posts they had on the wall, hoping that that would stop them from coming and hurting me more. But they didn't like that. So one staff member came up behind me, held my arms behind me, while the other one kicked my legs out from underneath me, and I fell completely flat on my jaw and it split open. That didn't stop them, though. They kept restraining me. There was blood everywhere, and they were rubbing my face in it. They didn't care. They continued restraining me, and eventually I had to have a nurse come look at me, and because of the blood, a girl that I am friendly with, Kristen, who was there with me, she actually, her first night in intake that she was there, she witnessed what was happening to me. I can't even imagine seeing that as a first day. But not only did she see what happened to me, they forced her to clean up my blood. That's how messed up this place is. Just so messed up on so many levels. Despite a grievance that I wrote, like that was going to do something, and what other girls witnessed and saw that night, the staff still claimed they didn't see anything and they didn't know what happened. They tried to say that I did it myself. No matter what velocity, no matter what you can do, you can't split your chin open like I did, and that stuff doesn't, it just doesn't. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting off here because, it's a little heated conversation. I'm going to off track here because I have a lot of illnesses and it took my memory with me. I remember some things, but when I remember things nowadays, good or bad, it's actually good for me because at least I'm remembering something. So that's another reason I really don't mind sharing my story and saying stuff like this, is because it's who I am. It's part of me. And I want to help others, but I think I need this for myself too. I need to have a purpose. I need to make what happened to me into something good. And if I can't do it for myself, I at least want to help other people, and I'm hoping you guys can help me do that. Anyways, continuing. After my first 8-week stay in observation, I was finally released into the general population of that hellhole. I tried to follow all the rules, heel toe in line, not doing anything at all except for obey. No matter how hard I tried, though, I was continuously getting in trouble. Whether it was not hand washing my sheets properly, having calluses on the heels of my feet, or having just the right amount of water in my water bottle, I would get a consequence for something. I constantly ended up back in study hall, writing essays, and then back to observation placement. A few months after my chin injury, my jaw started making a lot of weird sounds, and I was having a hard time opening it. This progressively got worse. I wrote my mother about what happened because we still weren't allowed to speak to our parents, and the staff monitored the stuff that we mailed. So I don't even know if she got that letter. If it said something bad, they didn't send it out. They were supposed to be sent to our parents and sent out, but honestly, to this day, I still don't know if they told her the real story of how I was injured. Pretty sure they denied it, though, based off how they acted. But several months into my stay, a new girl named Valerie arrived at the facility. This is going to be a trigger warning for some. You're already in this. Valerie did not make it. Valerie did what I tried to do off the second story, but she died instantly. I did not. And they caught me first. And as horrible as it is to say back then, I wish they didn't catch me. I knew that I was going to die in that place. If my mom didn't rescue me, if somebody didn't rescue me, I knew there would be no coming out. I knew I was going to turn 18, and if they weren't going to kill me, I'd be on the streets. They told us our parents didn't love us, they didn't want us. They broke us down in every single way possible, physically, mentally. It was like a cult, really. It had a huge cult following, especially with the seminars they had us do. Totally brainwashing seminars where they just really broke you down, but the parents had to do them too. So on the other end, they were convincing the parents, you need to send people to the program, refer them, they're going to save your teenagers and how great they are, when in reality the parents had no idea what was going on, or they just didn't care. The thing was, our classrooms were on the roof, so it was technically 3-story building. When I did that out of frustration, wanting to see my mom, or not even caring if I died, I tried jumping off the second balcony, and they restrained me from that. When Valerie did it, we still had classrooms upstairs on the roof, and she furiously just dived off the roof and instantly died in the courtyard below for everyone else to see. They shut the windows as close as we can. I saw her legs on the floor, but there was some girls I know that were right there, and I can't even tell you the trauma that everybody saw that night, or the fact that they made us line up and do head count the next, not even 48 hours after she died in the same spot they had us standing in. So that bothered me too. that, of course, I think that bothered everybody, and in some way, I don't know if it affected me worse, but partially I think it's because I realized that could have been me. And almost, I want to say back then, I think I was a little jealous it wasn't me. I mean, I thought I was going to die there, and whatever, anything, even death was better than that place to me. Jail, anywhere. I needed out. You weren't allowed to look out the windows. You weren't allowed to do anything at all. Or you're going to get a 5,000 word essay on why you looked out a window accidentally. But as I continue, sorry, I'm getting a little carried away here. So apparently I'm not good at YouTube at all. I'm posting this story in different segments and it does not flow smoothly at all. I hope as I get more used to going on YouTube that it'll make more sense to me. So if you can bear it out and watch the whole thing, it's pretty interesting. I was only going to do one part, as I'm saying in there. However, after reading for 20 minutes, I realized I'll still need more than one part. There's a lot more to still go. I appreciate all the support, all the shares. I want to help other kids out there, and I also need help myself. I want to have purpose. I want to make something good out of what I was given. So for all of you that made it this far, again, thank you. You should be seeing another segment coming out. And if anybody has any tips or tricks I can use to make it look a little better, I'd appreciate it. Again, sorry it's so choppy and everywhere, but please read, watch, share, comment. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Enjoy. On a side note, I forgot to mention something. As you guys see me talk, you can see how my jaw kind of looks like it's opening. So I just wanted to clarify how it really is for you, those of you that don't know. The max I can open it is this. No matter what I do, no matter if they put me under anesthesia or they do whatever, that's the most I can open, and that's the most that I'll ever be able to open. Barely at all. I can also be this wonderful ventriloquist, which I think I should probably do in my free time since it's the only thing I'm good at right now. But see, this is a talent on its own. I just try to make light of every situation and find some fun in it because life would be really gloomy without that. But yeah, that's my jaw. They want me going in for another 14 hours worth of surgery, but I will talk about that more next time because it's doing really bad, so it's pretty detailed about what's going on now. It keeps declining. So again, thanks guys. My jaw thanks you too.